Welcome to For Glory Series number 5. I am YoshnJa, your MC and commentator for this evening's match. For this match, I am solo commentating this time around, but I will try to do my best with highlighting critical plays and predicting the next moves both competitors will make. Now, let's introduce tonight's competitors. From the spectator point of view, as the blue team and the game's host, DoggoK with 350 competitor points in standard. On the red team...
Hello.
Hello there, Doggo. How's it going?
Going good.
Good.
A little
Good
stressed.
I don't know if you're stressed. Relax. We're gonna have a nice little friendly melee here. I know Guitar's got some cool stuff, and I know you got some cool stuff that you both will be showcasing soon enough. And speaking of which, on the red team, we have Guitar, who currently has 800 points in standard and the current champion of the leaderboard. Guitar, you want to say a quick hello?
Hello. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. How you doing this evening?
Not too bad. Excited to play some tactics.
I
See
love
what
to hear
Doggo's got cooked up for me.
Very nice. Always love to hear that. Now, both competitors have previously competed in earlier For Glory series, but this is their first time competing against one another. But before we start the match, let's first go into details about tonight's format, Standard. Standard is Tactics League's premier 5v5 format. With Standard, both players deploy one unique plus 4 generics, or even a 5 generics only team if they choose to. There are 40 actions that both players share. The decisions they make will influence the number of total plays they have for each game in the series. There's also a 13-minute chess-like timer that runs during each of their units' turns and only pauses during an action. Once that clock reaches 0, they will have 20 seconds per turn to fully make plays, and if they don't, that unit's turn will immediately end. The loser of Game 1 will decide Game 2's map, as long as it was not already predetermined earlier before the start of this event. Alright, and with all that being said, let's go ahead and start getting this game set up. With Game 1 being on Gollund, I'll be back with you all momentarily as we perform roster verification. Alright, and we are starting our first game here of the series. Doggo versus Guitarmanager on Gollund. So just a little bit. Alright, that should be good enough. Alright, and both players have brought some really interesting teams here. Guitar is actually going to be going here first with his Balthier, so as highlighted on the screen, this Balthier has a really cool build. It's running equipped bows, which enables harp equipping, and it's got the lunar harp, the chantage, which guarantees that any time the Balthier does attack and those attacks land, they will proc the speed sap ability, which will do -3 on that target. Now, of course, Balthier does have barrage, so he's able to strike twice, not 4 times like in the original game, but it's a 2-hit per weapon, so he'll be able to get 2 attacks off with that lunar heart. If both those connect, and that's a -6 speed there. That's a pretty threatening Balthier that Doggo will need to be accounting for. But also, speaking of Doggo, he also has his own really cool lineup of things. He's actually bringing 2 monsters on his main team, which is, I'd like to say, the first we've seen this yet in high competitive play. So he has a Dryad, and he also has a red Chocobo. Speaking of which, Dryad's going to do Shell Nymph, which will get Protect Shell out to all allies. Always a good play there. And now we're shifting over to Guitar's Squire. This Squire is also really cool. It's honestly one of my favorite types of setups. It's a high mobility Squire that also has Yido. I don't know if Guitar's going to take advantage of the... Oh wow, he actually did take advantage. Okay, so this is one of the first times I've actually seen this happen. Guitar's Squire has enough move where he's able to actually get the +2 power and magic from athletics. Athletics gives you +1 for every 5 moved, rounded up. So that means that because the Squire is sitting at a high move, I believe he's sitting at 8 move, he's able to get the +2 if he goes all the way, which is what he did. So the Squire's Yido is going to be looking pretty nasty. Alright, Guitar's going to go again and have his Dark Knight little bulwark there. It's going to be Protect Shell on Balthier, the Dancer, and the White Mage. Just want to highlight and emphasize how important Protect Shell is. Both players have definitely made sure that importance is taken advantage of, with them both getting it cast off in the first turn, so bravo to them both. The format definitely demands that Protect Shell is out because a lot of the damage that you will be seeing on screen here is kind of catered around that. So it's really important to have that buff out as soon as possible. Looks like Guitar's going to go ahead and charge up what seems to have been Polka, if I'm not mistaken, which is -1 power every time it lands. Dance has 5 AoE, so it can reach pretty far, and it doesn't matter about verticality besides bridges and like actual gaps. So really curious how Guitar plans to utilize that Dancer. Now Doggo does have a I believe it's an Adept Rider Dark Knight, if I'm not mistaken. It is. And the Dark Knight also has Beastmaster, so that's enabling the hidden abilities of both the Dryad and the Red Chocobo. And speaking of which, Doggo is now taking advantage of all these things above. That Adept Rider, he was able to move onto the Chocobo and then have his move reset again, so he's able to now move while riding, also gaining rider immunities and being able to engage if he wants to. But I don't know if that's going to be a wise choice. A lot of Guitar's team, even though he's used most of his turns, getting that Dark Knight out there mid-map by herself could be a death sentence. So Doggo's going to be really careful with how he engages. But it looks like he is potentially about to do that. Sure. I would suggest for Doggo right now, I wouldn't do this just yet. I wouldn't engage early on like that. It would be a very high threat and probably going to lead to a Dark Knight's demise if he pushes up, but that is what he's going to commit to. There's not going to be a lot of ranged options here for Doggo. Chocometer and Chocopellet are definitely going to be the main ones. Chat real quick. That is a slick looking Dark Knight Gatherer. Yep, definitely agree, Dubs. Alright, Doggo's Dark Knight will land a Choco Meteor 120 on the Guitar's Dancer, but it's going to go through Mana Shield there. Alright, and we're now shifting over to Doggo's Chemist. Now this Chemist also has a really unique type of setup as well. This Chemist actually is rocking the Tiny Bee and the Mage Masher. Tiny Bee is a dual wieldable 4-range gun, and because of that, the Mage Masher is able to be ran on the offhand. So, with it being a ranged weapon in the main hand, the Tiny Bee is able to strike at 4, and then the knife is also able to strike at 4 because it's using the main hand's range. Looks like Doggo is trying to get some damage out on that Squire. Like, it's gonna be kind of tough. Like, he can hit with some summons there, but the only issue there is that that Squire has a Reverie Shield, so a lot of the summons are elemental, so that damage that Squire may take would be halved. So getting that Golem is definitely a good idea. I'm glad that Doggo's considering that first. It's not going to prevent everything here. I just want to note that Balthier's Barrage, as long as he uses Barrage, it won't be blocked by Golem as well. Guitar has went ahead and charged up a Hestasia that lands on 4/5 of his team. And we've seen some Polka action there. Oh, it's not Polka, my bad. I actually misread that. It's not Polka, it's Battle Chant. It's +1 power, not the -1 version of Dance. So Guitar is actually buffing up his team while he has some early turn engagement. And we're shifting over now to Guitar's Balthier. More than likely, we're going to see this Balthier get in range of this Dark Knight. Maybe not necessarily from the flank, but at least from the sides there, try to get that speed set going. Oh, that's right. I forgot Balthier has stealth, so by moving at least 5 tiles, Balthier has gained invisibility, so he's guaranteed to hit the barrage. However, one of the unfortunate things is the environment. I wasn't too sure if that was going to play out or not, but because where he targeted at, effectively the harp attacks actually went through the bottom part of the house. Instead of it going up, it just kind of shot through. So sadly, that was unfortunate for Guitar, and thankfully that was a good thing for Doggo there. Very nice Guardian Nymph play there that will get re-raised out on Doggo's Chemist. I love to see these monsters in actions. I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on them. They definitely bring value. They're not necessarily always the best thing possible, but they definitely have their value on team comps. Of course, they do require some needs, specifically things like they need Protect Shell, though a few monsters do have Protect Shell innately, but some of them, for the majority of them, need Protect Shell casted on them. If you're going to run a monster, you're more than likely going to need a Beastmaster or a Blue Mage somewhere on your team as well, or a Luso as well, because he has a Beastmaster as well. So there's a couple more things they need, but they definitely bring some value, so I'm glad to see the Doggos showcasing them. Alright, and with Guitar's White Mage, it's going to go ahead and charge up a re-raise to make sure that White Mage has that re-raise on herself. She does have Faith, so it's guaranteed to land as long as she can successfully cast. Looks like Guitar's going to go ahead and start engaging with Doggo's Dark Knight. This Dark Knight will take 10% less damage because she is currently riding a Chocobo, and that is thanks to the added rider as well as enjoying almost ribbon-like immunities. There's a few things that they're still affected by, things like Charm, Faith, Reflect, KO. But Mo don't really care about that. It's just going to be a really hard hit 342 there, even with the mitigation from added rider. I will trigger Doggo's Dark Knight's ward, so there's going to be a refresh, Protect Shell, and a gain on Regen as well. Curious if Guitar's going to stay in Bard's Song. He is in a good position to do so. Could just remain in Battle Chant and continue to get +1 power to his allies. But, you know, he definitely could change it up. I mean, there's a lot of different options that Dancer can make. She can switch to Dance and start doing like Forbidden Dance, maybe even charging him into Minuet. Just kind of make sure he's keeping pressure up. Could also since he got haste, I would say Rousing Melody is probably the least option right now. Like, could look at Nameless Song, maybe even Finale. I'm not sure if the guitar is really worried about damage pressure right now, currently. But maybe that's something he could be foreseeing in the future, and if that's the case, he may end up switching over to Life's Anthem. But either way, this dancer definitely has a multitude of options that she can make. And one cool thing I want to highlight with this dancer too, while we're waiting, Guitar's dancer actually has the A-fluted pole. Dancers do have poles innately now, so the A-fluted pole is essentially pretty much a cleanse all weapon. It doesn't do damage, but when you poke somebody with it, pretty much any status effect that they have is completely cleansed. So it's a really good utility weapon. I actually really like running the A-fluted pole on my dancers as well, because you don't normally attack with a dancer unless you're doing something like Kashmir. So when you need to attack, there's an opportunity to, like, if I have an ally that's status, I can get them out ASAP, right? So it's really cool for that type of stuff. But it looks like Guitar's going to go ahead and charge up Slow Dance, if I read that correctly. So that means he's going to try to get a -1 speed out on all of Doggo's enemies that are within the 5 range. And if those connect in multitude, that's really going to put Doggo behind, especially because Guitar does currently have haste up. It looks like Guitar is going to actually zigzag his Squire back to the initial spawn there. He's going to get that +2 from Athletics again, so that Squire's stats are looking pretty hefty already. And Squire does have Iaido on the secondary. So once he's ready, that Squire is going to be hitting like a truck. And it's kind of funny to highlight that, you know, Squire coming in with a lot of damage, but Squires do have a lot of potential in the patch, so this is one really cool way to highlight their capabilities. Actually 1917 right now, with also having Arcane Strength. So this Squire at this point, any Iaido he does is going to start really wrecking Doggo's team. So Doggo definitely shouldn't overlook the Squire, especially as Guitar, I assume, eventually starts to repositioning him back in towards Doggo's team. Okay, it looks like Doggo's going to get the top up on his Dark Knight. That's definitely a good play there. Yeah, I think it's probably the best play he can make right now. Just making sure that the Dark Knight's staying healthy. She took a really hard hit mode down a moment ago. So that's going to pretty much get her back to full with that X potion. Thankfully, Chemist increased the potency of potions by an additional 50, so that X buy healed from not 250 but 300 instead. Guitar's re-raise will, of course, connect on the White Mage since she has Faith, so that he's got the guaranteed re-raise out on her. And yeah, I'm not sure what Doggo's going to do here in this current situation. Plenty of options, but I'm not sure what he thinks is the priority. I would argue that may want to consider Balthier right now. But it looks like Doggo's going to go ahead and dismount from the Chocobo, and looks like he's going to try to go for the 1-2 follow-up there. So what we're seeing is when you dismount, the Chocobo's CT was frozen when you mount it originally, so if you can follow up in that manner, you can actually kind of get a 1-2 punch. You basically dismount the unit from the Chocobo, they take an action, and then the Chocobo's CT is usually, depending on how you have it lined up, it's usually near 100, so either they'll go second or they'll go like third or somewhere relatively soon, right? And then that way you can kind of use the power of the Chocobos, like Choco Meteor, for in this case is the red one, and try to get a nice clean sweep. Gotta be careful that the Abyssal Blade, that will also hit that red Chocobo too. But I think here, Crushing Blow is probably going to be the best option. Yeah, I think it's the best option for Doggo right now. Now, Unholy Sacrifice is what he's currently looking at. That would go around Dragonheart and wouldn't trigger Dragonheart because it's magic damage. But that Chocobo getting hit too is going to be kind of probably something that we want to consider for casual damage as well. So I still think Crushing Blow is going to be the best option on that Dark Knight, or going up against Guitar's Dark Knight. It looks like something Doggo is definitely weighing in on if it's worth the risk. Now, the guitar's dancer does have ribbons, so that slow won't hit her at all. So it's either going to be on the Dark Knight or the Chocobo potentially. I just don't think there's enough value right now to try to go for that unholy sacrifice. Charging for break aim is a good option, so that's definitely a good play there by Doggo. It's going to try to, well, it's not a try, it will be a guarantee stopping the dance. Alright, but first that dance will go out, so that's going to be a -1. That does hit all of Doggo's nearby party members. Break aim does, of course, connect, so that will now stop slow dance from continuing. And now we're shifting over to guitars out the air. And I think we're going to see some barrage play about to happen here. Guitar's got a lot of Doggo's units like nearby too, so getting the -6 off, especially while he has stealth or stealth invisibility, I would definitely take advantage of that right now. I think that's what he's going for, on that chemist specifically. Nope, he's actually going for the Chocobo. Alright, and that's the first one, -3. And -3, -6 there total. That's a pretty hefty amount of speed loss in that red Chocobo. That's actually going to put that red Chocobo behind too now. It should be at, I think, base speed 12 if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so it is currently 6 speed. Like, that's pretty big. But all is not lost. Doggo has plenty of play here. Trying to think what might be his best option here. I would definitely forego summons right now. There's a lot of elemental mitigation on Guitar's team, and that's really hurting those summons. Odin probably won't be ideal. I mean, you're risking a 19% chance to do minor damage. You might have the chance to get the KO out, of course, through the Zantetsuken, but other than that, I don't think it's worth it. Now, if he wants to gamble death, 3 ticks, if he can land it without being interfered, I can see that. Yeah, what we're seeing on the damage forecast is really high elemental mitigation there. Valmafra is being cut down pretty hard. He's not going for Odin KO, but he's actually going for the Death KO. Okay. I can respect that. And also, hey, fellas, how's it going? He popped in chat. And we got a 51% chance to land that, of course. Valmafra does have concentration, but because Valthier doesn't have any magic evasion, there isn't any additional, hit rate increase or anything like that. Concentration only adds against what they currently have. It doesn't just add additional evasion rates. But we'll see what happens. If I had to guess, Guitar's going to try to counteract that. Yep. Looks like he is charging up and either raise or rise. One of the two, because that was zeroed out. So that basically just meant that that target's not dead, which Valthier isn't dead yet. So if Death does land, we're about to find out. It actually does connect, so good play there by Doggo. Guitar, however, does have the counter play there. If it is raise, it's 100% revive. If it's a rise, it's not going to be 100. It's going to be up there pretty. It's going to be probably like 70 to 80%. So a pretty high chance of it landing regardless. But good counter play by Guitar and good play there by Doggo. Either way, that did eat up one of Guitar's actions with his White Mage. Regardless, so even forcing to do that is still a good measure. Alright. Now, Guitar didn't move that Squire far enough to proc Athletics, but he's already got a +4 already, so I think that Kiku is coming. Yep. That Kiku will definitely down that red Chocobo, so that's the first KO of this game 1. Guitar is up 5-4. Okay, and we're now on the 21st action here. Just kind of keep in mind that about 24 to 27 On the action counter, we'll start seeing Protect Shell falling off as both parties had casted pretty much on their turn 1. Just kind of keep that in mind. That will mean that both players will be seeing increased or true damage at that point because they don't have mitigation. Oh, we hear that crit ching there. Solid sanguine sword blow there by Doggo. That's a nice retaliation kill there for taking down that red chocobo, and now they're both evened up 4-4. Okay, so we both players are definitely very much in this game still. Even though we're hitting the halfway mark on actions, both clocks are still pretty decent. Both players definitely not be trying to spend like 30 seconds to a minute at this point per action. That's going to hurt you in the end, but definitely going to be really important at this point to really kind of figure out what you're going to be making those plays currently, because with the game being so close, it can get pretty rough. Alright, I did say 4-4 earlier, and that's also because I was predicting the Arise to come out here, so hopefully this will land. Alright, Dust the Seeds, so Balthier's back up to full. Alright, and we are definitely on a 4-4, and the first Protect Shell has fallen off on the Squire because he ran out of the barrier stack earlier, or excuse me, not the barrier stack, the Bulwark stack earlier, so he didn't get the Protect Shell from the Dark Knight. Wouldn't strike up there, Doggo. If you remember earlier, Guitar kind of made a similar play there, and it pretty much shot through the roof, so definitely be looking at that White Mage. And honestly, I think if the White Mage doesn't have silence immunity, which let me double check, she does have silence immunity to Brass Coronet. Okay. I'm just going to double up on that because of basic Toxico scaling with your weapons, so definitely get that poison oil status out both on the Chemist. Now, Balthier has 70 MP remaining. Barrage does cost 60 MP. It's really expensive, but it's also because it has a lot of potential with just proc weapons and like chantage, things like that. The stuff that pretty much Guitar's showcasing. So he does have one more barrage shot that he can make before he expends too much of his MP. I like to think that he's going to probably go ahead and, if he can get in position, try to go ahead and barrage Valmafra. Albeit that he won't be able to stealth this time around. So there's a chance that she can dodge. Oh, she actually did parry that first one. That was a big one. She dodged? Whew. Man. That was solid moves there by Valmafra. And very big play there too, because otherwise she was about to take a -6 to the face as well there, so a -6 in speed, so yeah, that was big. Alright, the Dry's gonna hit out there with the Leaf Rain. And it connects to 19% sleep. Oh man. That's what I love to see. I like this. I think the Dryad's the one that actually has status boost. Don't quote me on that though. I think one of the Trents actually has status boost. So either way, really good play there by Doggo. He is definitely putting on a show here. Now I do also want to highlight there the Guitar's last waltz did connect there. It actually did get 2 hit with -50 on CT. So it's going to put Valmafra, and I believe it was the Chemist that also got hit by that. So they're going to be kind of almost CT reset there. And additionally, the Chemist just lost her re-raise thanks to Fundament's Frenzy. A really overlooked skill a lot of times. But I honestly think it's one of the best skills because people love to have haste or people love to have re-raise, right? So like being able to just, hey, I'm taking this off and you're taking 50% of your damage. Max HP too is pretty big. But looks like Guitar's going to be doing some follow-up combos here as he gets the quick out on the Squire. That's going to get that Squire CT almost back to 100. And now Doggo's Protect Shell has fallen off in the 27th action, so I made a decent call in predicting that one earlier. That means that now the Doggo's team is completely open to full damage, and I believe that we're going to see Guitar capitalize on this big. Guitar's gonna go for the crushing blow. Will Val absorb it with mana shield? She does. She isn't critical, however, but she will survive that crushing blow there. Good play there by Guitar. She barely survived too, 22 HP, and she's taking a hefty hit. Guitar is looking in a pretty decent spot right now. If I had to guess, he's probably going to go for one of two things. If he can get his dancer position, he can poke Valthier awake with A fluted. He's actually going to remain in last waltz. Okay. He's making sure he's going to keep that pressure up, that CT pressure. And Guitar's Protect Shell has also fallen off on his team, so everyone is now in full frontal force here. And now we're going to probably see some Squire action because this Squire is buffed out with +4 from Athletics and Arcane Strength, and he's got a Yido, so it's not looking good for Doggo. Oof, man, that's some big numbers. The Cheer Raiden's going out. $7-14 Cheery. However, the Cheery will break after, so Guitar will not be able to recast it again. But still, it already put in hefty work. Now, Val thankfully had a re-raise already on her, so she is right back in action. This next play that Doggo makes got to be big. It's got to be big. Mana Burn won't work because she has no MP. That actually is completely based off her current MP. It does damage based on what your MP is, so since she is at 0, it's going to do 0, of course. On up to 289. I'm hoping that Doggo's checking his CT though before he commits to that move. Not sure if he did or didn't, because that's going to be kind of a really big play there too. Alright, so the CT lines up thankfully to where anything he casts will go off before Guitar can respond. Yeah, I'm thinking. Man, this is rough. I don't know. I think that's too much of a gamble right now. I think targeting that Squire is a gamble. He's going to go ahead and commit for it. He did land a 51. Can he land the 49? Now Val, again, she does have concentration, so that is kicking in. That Squire's Reverie Shield is mitigating some of the hit rate, but because of concentration, most of that hit rate is being added right back to Val, so she is almost a 50% shot from landing that. And we're going to soon find out here after Exodeth completes his turn. Alright, we go for another Leaf Ring. Will another Sleep connect? It won't connect this time, but still a 378 solid hit there. Alright. Doggo needs this. It's his seeds. It's his seeds. Okay, so that Squire is also down. Oh man. Now, keep in mind that currently Guitar is 4-2. He's got his Sleeping Balthier, but Guitar shouldn't be focusing anything real on Balthier. He just needs to keep that pressure up. Get Valmafra dead at this point. He's gonna go ahead and just keep his Squire alive. Okay, he's gonna go for the raise there. That's a smart move. Keeping units up is always a big play. Alright, Squire will return back to the board at 213. Last waltz. Oh, oh man. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, that's not good for Doggo. With the last waltz connecting on both of Doggo's remaining units, his units are. Guitar is basically at this point he's going to be able to act twice as fast now. Alright, Sanguine will connect, of course, on the Dryad. The 317 drain there. Alright, it looks like Guitar's going to take advantage of that 8 fluted. Yeah, poke him right back awake. Good play there by Guitar. Guitar has the CT. Now this is really big because of that last waltz. Like he has board presence now. Like full. I mean, he was already having board presence, but it's big now. And I think that's going to be pretty much GG at this point. Yes, it is. On the 34th action, GG. Guitar takes game 1, 5-0. Alright, and let's go ahead and get these guys back on the mic here. And guitar. Alright, Guitar and Doggo, you guys there?
Yeah.
I'm here.
GG's to you both. That was a really fun game to watch. Really good plays by both of you.
GG.
Thanks.
Love to see those like low hit rates actually connecting. Like that's that's the fun part. But no, good game by you both. You guys put up a really good show there. And with that being said, Doggo, since you did lose the first game, if you want to go ahead and take a look at what map you want for game 2, that's not Boulogne Cathedral Sanctuary or Limburg Castle Inner Court, let me know what you want to go with. I'm just going to get caught up on the chat here real quick while you do so. Okay.
Zeirchele Falls.
Go to Zeirchele, heard that.
Zeirchele, yeah.
Alright, sounds good. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and swap to downtime, give us a little bit of time here to get roster verification done. Both parties are able to swap in their reserves for game 2 and game 3. So if you guys want to figure out what you want to do, we'll start roster verification in a moment. I'll be back with y'all momentarily.
Perfect.
Alright, and we are back. We are now starting game 2 on Zeirchele Falls. Alright, I just want to emphasize, Guitar is actually going to retain the same team as he had with game 1. No team changes. However, for DoggoK, he actually swapped out his chemist for the pig. So pig does have a lot of cool little features there. Specifically, that it has pretty much an Arise version of it's pretty much a full revive version of the martial arts revive, but also some really cool status stuff too, including like confuse or sleep. Looks like we're going straight into it. Guitar's going to push that speed sap right away, getting that -6 on that chocobo. That was pretty huge play there earlier in game 1. And of course, those both connect thanks to stealth. So there's going to be a -6 there, and also put that chocobo in near death already. Now keep in mind that what we just seen there was also the fact that the chocobo did not have protect shell because DoggoK didn't have the opportunity to get it out fast enough. But DoggoK's making sure that that is out now, so good play there. Still very vital to have that out. Probably, you know, of course, probably wouldn't something you probably didn't think about, but probably having that chocobo maybe in the back row instead of the front would have probably been advantageous. But ultimately, I think that if we're going to go for anything to get hit by speed sap, it would be the chocobo, because I suspect the DoggoK's going to go ahead and mount on it after anyways, so you don't want your other units having less speed. Like, that -6 is pretty huge by itself. Gonna try to go for the snort. Alright, Balthier will dodge that. Snort is a charm chance there, but it won't connect. And most of that hit rate is based on the fact that Balthier has shell. Now, if he was shellless, then it'd actually be a really high hit rate, like we're looking at easily 50+. But because he does have shell, it really affects the hit rate of Snort specifically. Or I think it was Squill rather, but either way. Alright, Star's gonna run a squire down the river. Hope he didn't crash when I see any movement. They might just be waiting. Okay. Alright, cool. Everything is good. Okay, so shifting over now to Guitar's Dancer. She does have Garment Ring, which gives her access to Bard Song as well. So if I had to guess, we're probably going to see a turn 1 either Battle Chant like he did the first game, or potentially switching it up and doing something like Nameless Song or Finale. Alright, it's going to go ahead and proceed with the Battle Chant there. Alright, now Guitar can get in range of the pig, which is exactly what he's going to aim for. We could try to go for Crushing Blow. 25% chance to stop, doesn't connect. It does connect. Wow, okay. And already we're having some crazy stuff happening in this game 1. Alright, so DoggoK is got one unit kind of temporarily out of play currently on the pig. Red Chocobo is in critical, but still standing. I suspect that Guitar will go ahead and try to get haste out on the units on the bridge, which would be the Dark Knight and the Balthier as well. Estasia is 3 range, but he could also potentially do a single target haste. I don't see that coming though. I guess he also casting Quick's another option as well. Maybe quicking Balthier and getting that CT up again to try to continue another barrage speed sap would be pretty detrimental against DoggoK right now as well. So Guitar has plenty of options to meddle. Oh, okay. Heard. It's gonna go. Looks like it's charging up. I believe that was either Karaga or Karaja. But either way, it's one of the AoE heals for sure. Alright, Doggo's melting up on the Chocobo. Alright, and Doggo definitely needs to retaliate, especially with how many successful plays that Guitar has made on his first couple of actions. I'm hoping that Doggo doesn't sleep on that Squire as much. But he may be looking at a different priority. Balthier is also definitely a threat too. Now I think the Red Chocobos doesn't have Choco Asuna, so that would actually be really helpful in that pig right now, but he's not going to be able to do that, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the Dark Knight abilities, actually all the Dark Knight abilities except for Sanguine and Infernal Strike, have a vert check. So being that Doggo moved his Dark Knight into the water, a lot of the darkness skills aren't going to be as interactive. Could Crushing Blow the Squire, which honestly I would go for that at this point, especially where he's positioned. I do think that Doggo probably shouldn't have moved down there, but the Crushing Blow would be nice. If you can land that stop like Guitar did earlier, that would be really helpful. Wow, oh, what do you know? So, and another one. Alright, and the Squire successfully is stopped as well, so both players have a stop unit on both sides. Stop doesn't last forever, it's fairly short status effect, but the fact that it does shut off a unit's ability to act for a time being still pretty crucial. They do retain their CT. The CT's frozen, but they retain the CT that they had, so once they come back, the CT will resume where it was. I'm hoping that being said, that Doggo maintains pressure, especially with the multitude of AoE abilities that Balmafra has. Carefully checking the CT of those casts, but he needs to look at those bridge units. The Squire is not something I would focus on personally, because with it being stopped, yeah, Guitar could just haste the Squire back out of stop, but that again requires Guitar having to spend an action, right? And Guitar's already charging up a spell, so you know, maybe look at doing something like Death, which is maybe something Doggo's considering, because Guitar is trying to cast Kiraga or Karaja, whichever one it was, on the bridge, so that would actually get around the heal from that spell. So I do think that's a good play there by Doggo, and to try to counterplay what Guitar's doing. Alright, so that was Karaga, so that will pretty much just make sure those units are both back to full. And see if Death connects. Death will sadly miss this time around. It's unfortunate. Can't always win all those 50s. Or excuse me, 51s. Battle Chant will get a double roll there though, so that's a pretty steep boost there. I mean, a +1, it may not appear as much on paper at first, but the fact that Battle Chant usually times where you can get like 2 successful rolls off in a row, that's pretty big. And speaking of big, comes that barrage speed set from the Lunar Harp. Val's taking a -6 there and a little bit of chip damage as well. That's also really going to hurt her. Now, there's one little positivity out of all that we just seen, right? Is she's 11. She was at 11 speed, so she's at 5 speed now, which is really big. And a detriment to Doggo, of course. Now, with that being said, with her being at 5 speed, and depending on the CT, how the CT lines up for every other unit on the board, I could give her turn 1 cast, or it may not give her turn 1 cast at all, because she has such a negative speed loss from that -6. So we're going to really have to kind of keep an eye on that as she gets her next turn. Will she be able to get turn 1 cast, or is she still going to have trouble casting because other units' CTs are also filling back up to 100? Looks like Guitar is going to go ahead and swap from Bard Song to Dance, and is charging up Last Waltz. Now, one other little aspect of the highlight is that the garment ring increases the hit rate of Bard Song and Dance if you are a Bard or a Dancer, and of course she is a Dancer, so that means that her Dance also has a 5% increase to their hit rate. So normally Last Waltz is 44, but of course it's now 49, so it's not much more, but with all the little extra tidbits and RNG can swing both ways, just that little extra can almost always lend an extra hand and having successful rolls there. Alright, so Guitar's Dark Knight is taking the next action here. Kind of locked in on the bridge currently. I believe Guitar's Dark Knight does not have Fly. Double check, make sure. It's got move 2, so you can only interact with the pig currently with Sanguine Sword or Crushing Blow. Actually, looks like that's what it's going to go for. It's Crushing Blow. Will he get the restop, or we just get a nice 264 burst there? All right, we'll get the 264 burst. He probably shouldn't move though. He is moving. Okay, we're saying maybe not move and conserve CT, but either or is fine. Definitely want to keep an eye out on two things. One, the effectiveness of Last Waltz, and two, does Val actually get like turn 1 cast times when it's their turn? Yeah, that -6 earlier from speed, the barrage speed set really wrecked her ability to get a number of actions this game. So for all the viewers who are watching this, keep that in mind. Like it's a pretty sick combo. I like the Equip Bow plus Lunar Heart barrage combo is pretty mean. It's effective. Also, just kind of showcase the multitude of different options you can do with the PvP patch. Alright, and Guitar's going to go ahead and push turn 1, or insta-cast Cure there. It's going to keep that Squire pretty much topped up. So even if Doggo's looking at trying to focus that Squire, going to pretty much have to repressure that Squire again. So good play there by Guitar, just making sure Squire stays alive. Could have went the haste route as well, but either is fine, I think. I think if Doggo looks at Unholy, maybe. Oh yeah, never mind. That's not gonna be a good option. So Balthier has he has a Minerva Bustier and the Dancer also has a Sage Ring. So that's where we're seeing a lot of mitigation there again because of that. So honestly, Break Aim was a good play there. The Squire is out of stop, and the Pig is also out of stop, so they're, both are resumed actions. And now we're swapping back over to Balthier again. Now, Balthier shouldn't have the MP for another barrage. He's only had enough to really get 2 casts off. Oh, excuse me, I totally misread that. He's 191 MP, so he actually has enough to get 3 casts off. Yep. So it looks like I can go for that Piggy again. So I want to highlight how big this getting hit by speed saps are. Like, man, the red Chocobo, Pig, and Mouse both are affected by minus speed 6 loss. That is, at this point, it's a bigger detrimental effect on Doggo than slow ever would be. Like, slow is only a quarter of your speed. This is minus 6 on your speed stat is much bigger loss of number of actions you can make in a single game. So pretty mean stuff there, and Doggo doesn't have a lot of means to be able to kind of check that Balthier either. He has status and capabilities, as Balthier doesn't have any status immunities. He has a Circlet on and Minerva Bustier. Alright, but, you know, honestly, I dig that play there by Doggo. He went ahead and got Guardian Nymph off. It succeeded, so the Piggy does have re-raise. keep in mind the pig also has really low amount of speed now at this point too. I think it's a 14 speed by base and is now at 9. So it's not nearly as bad as like Valmafra is, but still it hurts. Let's see how those cast times are looking. Okay, alright, so as was mentioned earlier, she was either going to be turn 1 or she's going to be like pretty much like turn 2, turn 3. But because she is so slow, and thankfully the CT of all the other units have went for the most part, she's able to get anything off immediately. So what Doggo does with her now is going to be really important because she's not going to probably get any more than one more action at this point. If I had to guess, at least. Doggo's probably going to be kind of going in and out of the menus to kind of see what damage potential is for certain things, and honestly, I don't blame him. Like I said, that's the really big play here they just got to have to make with her. It's not going to get that many actions with her otherwise. Gravgut doesn't look like a bad option at all. If he can follow up on that, that may not be a bad thing. I would definitely wait though. Don't move, Doggo. Alright, Doggo is thankfully staying in position. The reason why I suggest not to move is because moving is a higher, it also puts further CT penalty on you with being at 5 speed. It's going to be really hard to get another turn, so try to conserve that CT as much as you can. You're a caster, you have range. Keep in range at this point. You got a fighting chance. But good play there by Doggo. Gravgut will connect, however, Balthier's auto push will also kick in so that 320 odd damage got stayed off by 150, but still. Now, Balthier definitely doesn't have the MP again to do another barrage, so if Doggo's able to keep tabs, that would definitely be a good thing to weigh in on. But also want to emphasize that the Dancer does have back bar items, and she does have Bard Song as well, and could use Seraph Song to restore enough MP to get Balthier back to barrage again. That's just another thing to consider. So, may not be what Guitar will go with. I don't necessarily see him trying to go all in on Balthier. Balthier's honestly done his job. I mean, -6 speed on 3 units is crippling at this point. So, probably like swapping to a dance, maybe just like mincing or something, may probably be the idea. Keep in mind, both players, everyone has all units alive. The piggy is about to die, but the piggy also has re-race too, so we're in the 19th action, and both players are still 5-5. So they're both playing some really good tactics here, which we'll love to see. Tar seems to be assessing some of his options here, spending a little more time on the Dancer, and that's okay. He has the clock to do it. You don't have to necessarily always try to go like 10 seconds every action. Try to pace yourself, more so. It's good to have the knowledge of knowing what all your units can do, and like spending time with those units in practice mode or playing online in melee is always a good thing. Looks like he's gonna go in and charge up last waltz there, but just enough for, as you know, hearing on that part of the conversation. Make sure to keep yourself pacing. Even though the clock is a 13-minute clock, pace your units' turns. Try to use some down, like while your opponent is going, try to make some like predictive measures of what you should do with the upcoming units. That way, when you do get your turn, you're not burning a lot of your clock making those choices. And sometimes those choices will change depending on what your opponent does, of course, too. It is, I would say, at the end of the day, it is about that pacing. All right, Guitar is going to go Dark. It seems going to be Dark Knight versus Dark Knight. Not able to get in range of anything else. Abyssal Blade could technically hit the piggy, but actually no, it's 3 range out too, so no, I wouldn't even hit the piggy. So yeah, either he's gonna go for Arts of War here, or he's gonna go for the Infernal Strike. Yep. Okay. I dig it. So what Guitar did effectively is he cut off DoggoK's options of being able to use any of the MP costing darkness abilities. So pretty much, like Sanguine and Crushing Blow aren't usable at this point. Now, Abyssal Blade and Holy Sacrifice, those use your HP as recoil, or use your HP as a cost via recoil. So those are MP free. But Guitar just went ahead and shut down some of DoggoK's options with that Dark Knight. So I can respect that. And this kind of puts DoggoK a little bit more in a forced position of the next actions he can make with that Dark Knight, because now she's not going to be able to Sanguine. She doesn't have Mana Font, or Zeirchele, so it's definitely one of those things like kind of limiting your opponent. It looks like Guitar is also trying to ready up quick there on his Squire. Keep in mind, last game, that Squire was putting in some really nasty charge rating damage, especially with against shellless targets, so might be something that Guitar might be trying to emphasize on it and use it as like a multi-kill AoE cleanup. That would be interesting if... Okay, so DoggoK can get the take aim off with the Valhalla, which has a 50% chance to apply Undead. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she does not have the Chantage. She has the Nuclei Armband, which is also a really awesome accessory too. But it doesn't look like he's going to be going for that. Dancer has some really good evasion there, thanks to the 8-footed pole. That gives her 20% extra block rate on our parry rate, so that's really hurting those hit rates on the attack and the take aim there that we're seeing. It looks like DoggoK's going to go ahead and end the turn there. Okay, yep. Alright, we'll just go start with some CT there. Alright, now the quick will land was at 83% odds, and that will connect on the Squire. Oh, it's take aim. Okay, I didn't see that. I looked up the screen for a second. Okay, but still, a good swing there. That does actually will connect on the Dancer as well, so it was a good swing ultimately. The Dancer does have ribbons, so no one did there. But now is the moment we're kind of waiting for, because this is the opportunity that Guitar can take to really get that Squire into range, into DoggoK's stack there, where Valmafra the Pig and the Dryad are. Squire has 8 move, if I'm not mistaken, so he's able to just get straight down there and really put in some work. Alright, so he's going to go ahead and shift over to the sides. Okay. Guitar's not opting to engage with Squire just yet. He's going to go ahead and get Protect Shell reapplied, which is never a bad thing. So I dig that either way. You can never go wrong with reapplying Protect Shell. Alright, so with Balthier being shellless, the hit rate of Charm is now 31 to 47. However, Balthier will dodge it again. That's really unfortunate. DoggoK definitely needed that to land and try to get some favor and get some control back on the map. Regen Tick was pretty nice. That was 140 HP restored there. Balthier has a multitude of options as well. He won't be able to Rudge, but he does have Piracy. He does have Martial Arts. His Balthier is a monk, so he does have a lot of martial arts options there, including stuff like Cyclone, for example. Just trying to get like chip damage off there between the Dryad and the Pig. You can also try to go for like Steel Weapon. Now he is a monk, so he won't have the Sky Pirate effect where the mug damage happens if you try to steal from someone. But so plenty of things that Guitar can do here. While we're waiting his turn, so let's catch up on chat real quick, make sure he's good. Oh, Guitar's going to try to risk the frontal attack there, and the Dryad will succeed in dodging that. So good stuff there by the Dryad. Now, if that attack did connect, that would have been another -3. It would have been -6 because it wasn't barraging, but still, like, any speed loss at this point is really going to impact Doggo even more and more. Alright, now what is Doggo going to do with this player? He's got healing top off with life nip, but it looks like he's going to go try to gamble the leaf rain. It won't connect on the sleep, but it does do a solid 252, which is then staved off by 150 with auto potion. So ultimately, that was only some chip damage there. Last Waltz will connect on the Dark Knight, so that's gonna on Doggo's Dark Knight, so that's -50 CT there. And now that we're entering the 27th action, all units Protect Shell has pretty much fallen off, outside of the ones that had refreshes earlier. And this is now, as in game 1 earlier, this is kind of Guitar's window of opportunity to really get some high burst damage off. Let's look at that Dryad first, though. A Dryad will barely survive it. It's not in critical, but because it has really high natural bulk, it does sustain a 522 hit there. And the Cherry will break, so that is the hardest hitting katana that you can cast with the Ido. But Guitar will not be able to cast that anymore. Alright, so Guitar is charging up a quick. You actually got to turn 1 quick there on the Dark Knight. Very nice. Alright, so small window of failure. It will connect. Dark Knight will be able to go right away. Now keep in mind, I do want to highlight this one very important thing. Guitar is down to his last under his minute remaining, so you're probably going to see him moving a little faster on actions just to make sure he's conserving his timer. But man, that was a really hard hit and crushing blow there against Protectless. So that Dark Knight will barely survive. Now thankfully Added Rider did also mitigate some of that damage there. That might have been why she survived. Maybe not fully, but it definitely played a role there. Oh, whoa, that was big. That was a really big last waltz there. It's a -50 to 3 units there on Doggo's team. That's really going to put him on the back burner now. And a crit heart attack. Oh, gosh. Alright, Dark Knight, Doggo's Dark Knight dies from the attack, and it is now the Chocobo's turn. And Chocobo is still in critical earlier. Choco Meteor is not enough to get Balthier, but it is still really high burst damage, 435 against Shellless. Doggo definitely should not be grouping any units at this point because of the high threat of that Ido. And even Dark Knight with like either Abyssal Blade or Unholy, so playing spaced out at this point is really important for Doggo to try to stay in this fight. Alright, looks like Guitar wants to go ahead and take care of that critical red Chocobo. Make sure it is down for the count. It's another KO there by Guitar. Alright, so Guitar currently has the board 5-3. Doggo still has a few options here remaining. Looks like Guitar is trying to focus down that Dryad though. Alright, the Dryad will go down. Assured to not break there, and looks like Guitar is going to go ahead and conserve CT by waiting after. Alright, now Val does get her second action here, or maybe the third action, wasn't entirely keeping count, but definitely wouldn't be looking at Gollund. Like, you gotta get something going out ASAP at this point. Yes, the Dryad's CT is too high. If he rises, it'll reset his CT and it won't get like a upcoming action. But that's not going to do any good there too. Elemental mitigation, that's what we're looking at right here. That's a lot of mitigation on Guitar's team. That's really cutting down the potential of Val as well with her magics. I mean, Guitar's Dark Knight has Crystal Helm. and then the dancer has Sage Robe, and then Balthier has Minerva Bustier. So like, there's a lot of mitigation here. Can he chart? Let's see. 2-tick. Can he get away with that? Can he get away with the Divine Ultima? I didn't check the AT. Oh, he can. Oh, yeah, he definitely needs to. Yo, 100% needs to. Oh man, okay, this is a really big play here. Really big play here by Doggo. At 50 CT at this point, I mean, you know, it's great that it landed, but I mean, this is Val's last action anyways. I don't think we're going to be seeing her again after this game. But this is big. Sorry, viewers, for the frame rate dips and audio crackling. But big spell is big. Woo! Man, solid. Double KO there by Doggo, and getting that Dark Knight and critical as well. Really good play there by Doggo. He is in this fight. This is not over yet. Now, we are approaching the 35th action of Zeirchele Falls in Game 2, but still, like, anything can happen. Like, this isn't over just yet, but it's still, like, it's still, I would say, arguably, it's still in Guitar's favor, barely. But it is, because he has this raise that's going off. It will connect because of Faith. Balthier, it was at 100 CT. So even with that big multi-kill there, like, Guitar is back in shape with the Balthier. He doesn't have barrage capabilities, but he doesn't need barrage. He just needs to be able to get more damage done. And another -5. Oh, man. Or not -5, what am I thinking? -3. I'm thinking, like, barrage over here with some other weird stuff. But still, another -3 on the speed sap. That's crippling. And again, keep in mind that was pretty much the end of Val's turns once that Divine Ultimate went out. But with the Pig and Val being in position, here comes the Dune Aspirations, Muramasa. And that is a double kill there, and that will end this game on the 36th. GG. Alright, and Guitar will take game 2 4-0. Alright, and he is the winner of this series. Let's get these guys back on the mic. Alright, Guitar and Doggo, you guys there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Alright, GG's. That was fun. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
GG.
solid game, guys. And yeah, fellas.
I just
yeah,
got Divine Ultimate in there.
You got it in there. You got it in there. I was like, man, I don't know if he's gonna actually have the time to get that off fast enough. And yeah, sure enough, he was able to. So, yeah, I mean, if you have the ability to cast it and you have opponents nearby, yeah, it's a no-brainer play at that point. But no, that was solid. Really fun game there. Man, Guitar, that battle there is scary, man. Oof.
Yeah, I think Doggo might have been able to swing that one around if it hadn't been for all those speed losses.
Yeah, like the -6 on 3 units. That really hurts your ability to get turns in, and just being able to get those swings in there early on and getting the speed reduction, even without Tar having haste out, like that still made it hard for Doggo to get effective number of turns throughout the game because of that, because they're so low on speed. And that just kind of shows like minus speed through like speed sap, or even the like the Arts of War Ren speed, or the Dancer's Ren, or Dancer Slow Dance. Like those things really add up over time. So it's really cool to see you showcase that. And I think that was like a first time really showcase. I think me and you were talking about that earlier. Was like, but I don't think anyone's seen that type of setup yet. So it's really cool to be able to see that.
I'll be upfront. That was a obnoxious playstyle to fight against.
You know, I don't
genuinely,
blame.
I was prepared for stuff like the Dancer, because of stuff like aim, but like against the speed staff stuff, yeah, I wanted that battlefield gone. It's why I constantly use like death on him, and I was really hoping it worked the first time, but it didn't.
Yeah, that's
I think
definitely
that
fair.
alone would swing the tides towards me, at least to some degree. Especially since he was like up on the front lines and the white mage couldn't reach him.
Right. That's definitely fair, and yeah, that's especially being on the receiving end. I definitely I can see how that can be obnoxious to go up against, if you will. But I mean, it's a just to highlight. I mean, yeah, it's a really strong setup, and it was really cool to see. It's like it's one of those like really weird setups too. It's like this dude's running around with a darn harp, and it's like just tearing me apart. Like, you know, it's kind of funny to see, but it also like it shows how strong it can be in the right hands. So it's really good to highlight that. And even with all that being said, Doggo, you definitely made some really good plays there too. Like I'm just gonna front load all about the or any of the things that Guitar did, but you also made some really good plays there too. So you guys ultimately put up a really good match. And even though Guitar takes the W for this series, Doggo, you definitely did really well. And I know you kind of came into this not last second, if you will, but I know you said you didn't put a lot of time in to getting the team prepped and stuff like that, or just like kind of getting a feel for it. But you honestly, you did really well with what you had. So bravo to you there.
I'm surprised, honestly. Like, I feel like my team definitely would have had some sort of a chance were it not for the speed stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, that's just a new tactics. I think you brought a real nice team.
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising to hear, honestly. But thank you.
No,
yeah,
I don't
really
think
cool.
I don't think there's really wrong with your team. Like I was saying earlier, like I think you guys both had pretty decent teams. Just comparing the two and looking at like the kind of similar power levels. There's a little bit of varying power levels here and there, but I think they both were decent matchups comparatively, and just utilizing different advantages will kind of could change the way that the game flow goes, and that's kind of what we've seen in game 1 and 2. But yeah, again, like you guys played really well, and you guys played really close games, and you guys almost pushed 40 actions both games. So I mean, even with that being said, like they were still long drawn games, which is good to see for game health. So, but with that being said, GG's to you, Guitar, for taking the debut there. If I didn't already say that, I just want to make sure I got that out there. Good performance there, Doggo. And yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Thank you, viewers, both Discord and YouTube, for watching this match. And I will see you all next Tuesday for series number 6. You'll have a good evening.
Sounds great.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good one and good night.